Most businesses sell something of some sort, whether it's a product or service, but most of them don't have a sales process in place. This is why quite often down the line, when you get new cold leads in or you meet someone at a networking event, potential opportunities become a bit stale, they become stalled. Quite often they get forgotten. This is why you need to have a structured process in place of how to send people down this pipeline. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about what a sales process is, what a sales pipeline is, because they are slightly different things, and just generally how to get better use of your time when it comes to transferring cold leads or referrals into paid customers. Hello and welcome back to Make Data Work, the show that helps small and medium-sized business owners get more from their business, whether it's marketing, data, their CRM systems, reporting, just giving you clarity and understanding of your business across the spectrum of the sales process. So today we're going to be talking about the sales pipeline. So I think the best way to start off is basically plain and simply, what is a sales process? So a sales process is a repeatable, defined set of stages from getting a cold lead to a paid customer. You can have different branches, you can have as many different stages as you need, because not every A to B is exactly the same as the next A to B. But the end goal is to make money from potential opportunities as a business owner. So yeah, we're going to be talking about what people get muddled up, whether it's selling, like the definition of selling, sales process and sales pipeline, because they are technically different things, and we're going to be looking into that in a bit more detail. There isn't a right or wrong way to sell things, but I think the best way to start off is to kind of use this analogy. So the difference is if you're cooking a meal for yourself, you have two kind of options. You can either make a meal that you know off the top of your head will work. It won't necessarily be the perfect meal, won't necessarily be done the most efficient way, but it will work. Or you can follow a recipe word by word, measurement by measurement, and basically get to the bottom of what stage you are in the sales process and why it's getting a bit stuck. So this leads me on to the next part of the video, which is why structure beats instinct more times than not. And we'll get into the nitty-gritty of it, but essentially it's all about control and understanding. So you want to have a structure basically to understand where you are in terms of the lifetime of this sales process, essentially. So the structure is good for financial side of things, for performance management side of things. So it allows you to forecast and plan ahead for the next month, quarter, year, for example, of where you are with different things. How long a certain lead is taking you to get from new to, let's say, discovery is different per lead, but it's important to understand that you need to know where your time is going to be used in the following month. So whether you're going to be doing a lot of discovery calls, which take up a lot more time, you have to do a lot more research, or whether they're just new leads where you can just send out a blanket email just with an understanding, to allow the customers to have an understanding of the company, maybe send them some PDFs of case studies or why a certain industry, like ourselves, why a CRM system can save you time and money as a business owner. The next kind of thing is more to do with if you've got a team of salespeople. So it's monitoring visibility, monitoring handovers, monitoring coaching. So quite often, slightly bigger companies will have specialists in different parts of the sales process. So you'll have someone who's really good at the marketing side of the business, which are more cold leads and potentially new leads or new people that have heard of the company. And then you'll have more technical staff. You'll have maybe more personable staff that are better with discovery calls, better at putting proposals together because they ask the right questions when they're in meetings. Different members of staff will have different sort of strengths and weaknesses, different sort of skills or skill sets that will allow them to work better in different types of the pipeline. As a small business owner, you have to do the whole lot. Like myself, I don't have a salesperson that works for the company, so I do everything myself. Fortunately, I'm at the point where I'm just genuine. I want to help people. I want to support people. And my personality comes out very, very quickly when you meet me. And you know that I'm genuine with my intent. I'm not trying to sell you a dead horse. And then it's more for your future self is learning on where you've gone right and wrong. If you don't have these sales sections in place, you can't learn from your previous mistakes and you just end up doing the same cycle over and over and over and over and over again. and it's not beneficial to the business, it's not beneficial to your staff, it's not beneficial to third-party companies that you're working with. Maybe you have to collaborate with other people. I do collaboration work and freelance work for people. It's important to understand where you've gone right, where you've gone wrong, what to push, what not to push, where to refine. This is why instinct is better than structure as a base point and a foundation, because it gives you a real understanding of the complete process and where your business is going, whether you're going in the right direction or whether you're stale and stagnant. It's important to understand this sort of things. So section 5 is the anatomy or the breakdown of what a stage kind of is classified at and what the exit criteria is. So my stage pipeline for the business is new lead. I have a 2-part stage for qualified. I'll send them a PDF with our data health check and a generic 6-month plan of what a CRM can do for your business. Then I move on to kind of the next phase of qualified, which is I sit down and have a generic one-to-one, whether we talk about referrals, whether we can help each other's business. I deal a lot more with small business owners, like small and medium business owners like yourselves, and we kind of understand where we are in the markets, where we can kind of support each other. And then I go on to a more discovered call where I organize a call where we talk about my services and how I can support a certain business. I will quite often skip the qualified section because if someone comes inbound to me, I will do a bit of offline research, not with the customer or the lead. And then we do a couple more meetings to kind of get a better understanding of different options. So I'm a HubSpot partner, but I don't always push them. They're not always relevant to certain customers. I do what's best for the customer. I don't really push an agenda, i.e. partnership. And it's important to understand what they need. Maybe they don't need a big CRM system. Maybe we can work through a more budget-friendly option, whether that's through Excel dashboards and things like that. And then you move to negotiation if they don't like the pricing or they feel they don't need as much input from myself and they want to do some of it themselves. That's perfectly fine. But the fact that I've set all these out and I know what the exit criteria are. So an exit criteria from qualified to discovery are quite interesting. So for me, it's once I've done the one-to-one, so I will do some email marketing and I'll do some social media marketing prior to our one-to-one meeting. Then I'll do the sit down, the kind of back and forth, learning about each other's businesses on a more generic sort of 50-50 level. And then when they've done that and they show their interest, I'll offer them a formal discovery call where I talk about what we offer and that sort of thing. That's when I will then move on to the next stage, which is discovery. And then obviously, once I learn about their business and they've shown their intent that they're interested or genuinely interested, then we go to proposal. And this brings us nicely to the next step, which is basically a worked example. So I have got an example of a heating company. Most of their leads and inquiries are inbound, so you know they've already got intent. So before you go through any of these stages, it's always important to really judge where the instinct comes in of what the intent is. So whether they're openly on the market looking to get stuff going straight away, or whether they are just inquiring or just browsing, or sometimes people will put inquiries in and they're not actually interested, they're trying to sell their own services, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, but it happens. So yeah, Brownlee Heating is a heating company that has 5 stages. Because most of the inbound stuff is inbound, they won't have to do the qualifying stage particularly. So they have inquiry, site visit, quote sent, whether it's won or lost, and then schedule. So schedule for them is sending staff out to do the actual job and then essentially signing it off as one completed. So the inquiry stage is when an inquiry comes in, whether it's through a contact form, check a trade, that sort of thing. I think it's quite relatable for a lot of businesses. Most companies have a contact form on their website. Business owners or salespeople will be quite active on LinkedIn. So they'll maybe receive a DM saying it'll be interesting to learn more. To me, that's classed as an inquiry. Maybe not as formal as a contact form, but then you can go to discovery and sort of learn more about their needs, which is what Brownlee Heating is a site visit. So that's the discovery side of it, is working out what their needs are and how, as a heating company, fulfill that. For me, my discovery is the one-to-ones, initially it starts with the one-to-ones and then moves on to more specific interests, which then leads us to the last section. So the last section is some of the common mistakes I've made myself and a lot of people have made as well that I've seen around me. The main one is having too many stages. It's better to track something correctly with less sort of micromanaged stages than it is to not track something properly at all. For me and the company, we always believe that clean and accurate data make companies better. So you could have 15,000 lines of data or potential leads in your system, but if the information is incorrect and you don't really understand what they want, or you don't really work any of it, what's the point? You could have 50 leads where you have a real understanding of what their needs are, what the company does, and you can go in with a real sort of targeted sort of message in your meetings and essentially win that business without really trying, unless you're not very good at your job, obviously. But if you've got real intent and understanding of what the customer wants, you could probably win 40 out of the 50 rather than 10 out of the 1,500 or 15,000 if you're not working it properly. The second thing is stages named after your admin. So the second thing I see is most people don't have a sales process that I've seen and have meetings with, which is quite terrifying. But it's naming stages after other admin tasks. So, for example, waiting for sign-off from a certain department, or having a similar name from the accounts department. So an accounts department might have a stage called proposal sign-off. If you've got that stage called proposal sign-off as well, they're not relevant. Salespeople don't need to get involved with the accounting side of things if you've got a bigger business. The next thing I kind of really is a bugbear for me, maybe it's because I'm a data guy, but having really vague sort of stage names for like potential or hope or close to closing or something like that. Like how do you justify that? How do you kind of verify what's close to closing or close to complete? It's a very vague, nonchalant way of working, and you can get very, very mixed up because what one person, maybe someone's more involved with the meetings, and then you hand it over to the technical person who's then putting this work together, and you're like, they have no information that they can work off. So that's not really close to being complete because they need to go back, do another meeting, get more technical knowledge, technical details about actually implementing this proposal. So it's important to actually have clear kind of set things. So I have mine. I have introduction will be normally inbound inquiries or initial phone call or meeting at a networking event. For me personally is the big one. And then I have 3 marketing stages. So data health check, sent, or I just call it data health check, but it's very clear that data health check has been sent. Then it is the 6-month generic plan. Then it is meeting book, initial meeting book. So maybe that's a one-to-one, maybe that is a direct discovery call. But then that's where I branch off and I kind of determine whether it's a one-to-one, whether it's a 50-50, we talk about their business and how I can help them and how they can help me, or just a more discovery call, which is just me talking about how I can support the person in the meeting. It's important to have those distinctions because, again, the water can get muddied. You can say the wrong things to the wrong people, and again, you don't have a clear sort of roadmap to completion. So that concludes this episode. I'm going to give you a takeaway action. Today, I want you guys to get a piece of paper and a pen and literally just make a flowchart. So a flowchart is essentially just a circle, name it, put a line, name the next stage. Very simply put out the key factors that take a cold lead or an initial introduction into a completed sale, and then come back to me. You can either send it to me on as a DM on LinkedIn, you can send it to me as an email. I'll have a look at it. So the next episode is episode 4, keeping it basic. What is a business process? So we're going to determine what the sales process is and a business process, move those across, get rid of the sales side of it. A business process essentially is about your admin, making your time more efficient and allowing you to do stuff that are more productive for the company. We'll look at some automations as well while we're there. Anyway, if you don't want to miss it, sub below and I shall see you in the next one. Get out of here.